Have you ever noticed that most redraft leagues are basically dead by Thanksgiving? Seriously. Half the league stops setting lineups, the waiver wire becomes a ghost town, a couple of teams are tanking for absolutely no reason because it's a 1 year league, and somehow your biggest rival gets to play the guy starting 3 players on bye during the fantasy playoffs. And we all just accept it as normal. But what if redraft fantasy football didn't have to be that way? What if the format itself kept owners engaged from week to week all the way through championship week? Today I want to talk about why Masters Fantasy Football Leagues has been doing redraft differently since 2008 and why thousands of owners continue coming back year after year. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about longevity. Masters has been running fantasy football leagues since 2008. That's nearly 2 decades of experience. And in that time, we've paid out more than $34 million to fantasy football owners. Think about that for a second. Fantasy football websites come and go all the time. Leagues pop up overnight, but building a community that lasts almost 20 years, that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people trust the product. And trust matters, especially when money is involved. Which brings me to one of the biggest differences between Masters and many other fantasy providers. Real commissioners, real support, real people. During our live drafts, there are actual commissioners overseeing the process. If you run into an issue, if you have a question, if something unexpected happened, there's an actual phone number you can call. And more often than not, the person answering the phone is me, or one of the other guys that work here. My name is Jonathan, and I've spent 17 years helping owners get through drafts, answering questions, solving problems, and making sure leagues run smoothly. You're not submitting a ticket and hoping someone gets back to you in 2 or 3 days. You're talking to a real person. In today's world, that's becoming pretty rare. And that's who we are at Masters Fantasy Football Leagues. Now, maybe live drafts aren't your thing. That's okay too. At Masters, we also offer email drafts as well. Some owners love the excitement of drafting live. Others prefer having more time to think each decision through. Either way, the goal is the same: creating a competitive environment where everyone has a fair shot at building a championship team. Now let's talk about one of my favorite parts of our format, the 18-man roster. I know roster size doesn't sound exciting, but hear me out. Too many fantasy leagues have oversized benches, owners stash everybody, the waiver wire dries up, and suddenly there are no meaningful decisions left to make. At Masters, our 18-man roster size keeps things moving. Owners have to make tough choices. Who deserves the last roster spot? Who can you afford to drop? Who is worth adding? Because owners can't hoard talent, the waiver wire actually matters. And active waiver wires create active owners. Every week there's another opportunity to improve your team, another breakout candidate, another chance to gain an edge. Fantasy football shouldn't end after the draft, and at Masters, it does not. Now let's talk about the playoffs, because I think this is one of the biggest reasons our leagues stay competitive all season long. We send 7 teams to the playoffs, and only 1 team gets a bye. The number 1 seed, that's it. And honestly, I think that's the way it should be. The top seed earned the bye, that's it. Everyone else, go win your first round matchup. Too many leagues hand out multiple byes, and suddenly half the playoff field is coasting. Meanwhile, teams sitting around 500 have no reason to keep fighting. Our format changes that. More teams stay alive longer. More owners remain engaged. Playoff races become more exciting than ever. And those free wins against abandoned teams, they're much less common because people still have something to play for. Now let's talk about buy-ins, because not everyone approaches fantasy football the same way. Some owners want affordable competition, others want higher stakes. And for those of you who enjoy high-stakes fantasy football, some of our premium divisions represent some of the longest-running high-dollar leagues on the internet. Again, that comes back to trust. People don't keep entering the same leagues year after year unless the experience consistently delivers. And before I wrap up, I want to mention something else that's really important. Pricing transparency at Masters. Your all-in price is your price. No hidden cost of any kind. No surprises, total security. Because if you join a $50 league, you should pay $50, not $50 plus another collection of mystery charges that magically appear at the checkout. It's a simple concept, but one we believe that matters. At the end of the day, fantasy football is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to create excitement, rivalries, Sunday traditions, and unforgettable moments. But that only happens when owners stay invested, when commissioners care, when formats reward activity, and when trust has been built over time. That's what we've been trying to create at Masters since 2008, a better redraft experience. So if you're tired of dead leagues, if you're frustrated by inactive owners, if you want meaningful waiver decisions, exciting playoff races, experienced commissioners, and a fantasy football community that's been thriving for nearly 2 decades, take a look at mastersfantasyfootballleagues.com. We'd love to have you join us. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more fantasy football content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Best of luck in 2026.